Good morning, my friends. It's your old pal, Peace Love Music, with another morning update. It is Monday, the 21st of October, and we're feeling good today. Another big week ahead for the Stacks community, and lots of stuff in the news going on. So we'll get into it. And again, just let everyone know this is a news show. We are here to provide information only. We are not offering financial advice. Always do your own research and never invest money you cannot afford to lose in any project. Also, we love it when you guys say hi in the comments. Let us know how we're doing. Also, if there's any subject matter we're not covering or any guests you'd like to see us spotlight on our shows, let us know. Let us know in the comments, DMs, or whatever. We're always looking to make sure that we're covering everybody in the space. So if we're missing your favorite project, let us know you want us to see some coverage, want to see some coverage of what they're doing. We're looking to cover everybody here. So Bitcoin's looking strong over the weekend. Hold on to that 68,000, coming in at 68,295 just before broadcast. Stacks dipped a little bit from 188 to 186 over the weekend, still holding on to the number 33 market cap position on CoinMarketCap. Fear and Greed Index has moved up to 63, back into the greed area. And the top three gainers on CoinMarketCap for the past 24 hours are Ape Token, DYDX, and Mu. Some interesting players. And we're going to look over at the Stacks calendar for the day. We have at 10 a.m. Find to Earn Monday with Skullcoin and Memes. And I believe that's with Zenatron and Staxy. Zenatron's going to run through his Find to Earn platform where he posts some coordinates, and you go to Google Maps, lock in the coordinates, find the location, and then you have to zoom into Street View to find the image on the map, and you can win some Skull Coin and or other meme coins that he gives away. And that happens every Monday at 10 a.m. on X. At 4 p.m. today, and I think actually at 1 p.m. you got Landy's Crypto Corner. Landy's always dropping some excellent knowledge on the markets and what's going on, and also often hosts great guests in the space. So check out Landy's Crypto Corner at 1 p.m. Eastern time. At 4 p.m. we have the DeOrganized Whatever Monday, sponsored by Zero Authority. And today we actually have a guest. We're going to be hosting the guys from AIBTC. They are also the ones that dropped the Bitcoin Faces NFTs. I have a couple of Bitcoin Faces in two different wallets. I have a couple of AIBTC NFTs. I'm really excited about what they're building on that platform. So come out and talk to the AIBTC guys today and learn how you're going to be able to use their product in all sorts of new and innovative ways. Really great stuff. And then we look forward to chatting with you this evening at 4. And also as well, so people, if you have things you want to come and chat about, always come out on Monday and chat with us. Let us know what you got going on for the week, and or anything newsworthy that we need to touch on for the space. Nakamoto update block has been announced. We did touch on this last week. Block 867867 anticipated for October 29th. That's a week from tomorrow. We're going to have 5 to 15 second stacks block times, which is over a 100 times increase in block transaction times on stacks. This is monumental. This is incredible. Where obviously everyone's super excited about what's going on in the space with the Nakamoto update. So we're really getting there now. There's been a lot of teasing and a lot of time waiting. So the community's been very patient, and it's finally getting here. And I think we're all almost like stoic at this point. You know, if it's like we're almost ready for it to not happen, which is probably when it's going to happen. So be on the lookout for that. I read, and I know a number of other places reported, I read it in Cointelegraph today, that the Minneapolis Fed has released a paper indicating that Bitcoin introduces a balanced budget trap and advised that taxing or banning Bitcoin is a proper move in order to establish or maintain a permanent deficit spending paradigm. So they're basically admitting that their model is to just always spend more money and constantly increase debt and never actually pay it off and never actually balance the budget. They actually view balanced budgets as harmful to their established order, their established authority, and want to tax or ban Bitcoin to prevent it from actually having the effect it was designed to be, which is a hard money anti-war. Because if they can't deficit spend, they can't wage permanent war. That's what permanent deficit spending is. It's about control and the ability to wage endless war and aggression the world over. So don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. In other news, related but not directly related, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong endorses John Deaton against incumbent Elizabeth Warren in the Massachusetts Senate race coming up this November. He says Warren is anti-freedom, thinks government should run all financial services, and has done enormous harm to this country. I couldn't agree more. Elizabeth Warren is the poster child for the established ruling class, which is looking to financially control everybody through dominance at the government level. And if you're in Bitcoin space, you're opposed to that. We are opposed to that. Trent whitelist giveaway. Do you have a community looking to reward your members? The Tremp team is looking for collabs to distribute some whitelist guaranteed mints for the upcoming Tremp NFT drops. We did participate in that with DeOrganized. I believe we have 20 winners. We will announce those soon. But they are looking to collab with a number of other communities. So if you're looking to reward your community, one great way to do so is to offer up a whitelist mint, free guaranteed whitelist mint for the Tremp whitelist coming up now. And our good friend of the show, GPSC, Gigapepe Spaceship Club, is working on those, the artwork for those NFTs. So I'm sure they're going to be really cool and super fun. I'm excited to see the final iteration of those as well. And I will be minting some for sure. Also, shout out, congratulations to the Jackaroo. Kanga token has gotten out of the bonding curve over the weekend, out of the bonding curve on Stack City. That makes 19 projects now that have completed the bonding curve and listed on Stacks exchanges. Follow, and they just launched their X account this morning, so you can follow at Jackaroo BTC to stay connected with that community. And I know that they are connected, or at least being doing some collaboration with the RuCoin community as well. Although it was not a direct RuCoin project, it's definitely supported by the community, and really fun stuff going on with that. They will actually be getting an opportunity for the Ru Runes mint coming up in November. So if you don't hold any Kanga, you might want to grab some while you can, so you can get in on the snapshot and get some Ru runes from your holding of that. And also just want to shout out, Zero Authority bounties are a great way to engage with your community, easy to set up and verifiable for all participants. And some really cool developments coming down the pipe with those. You're going to actually not only be able to reward your communities in stacks on these bounties, but soon you'll be able to use any SIP10 token and also SIP9 NFTs as a means of creating bounties. So check out zeroauthority.xyz bounties and start engaging more with your community today. And real quick, just want to check the chat. Good morning, Hero. What's happening? He says good morning, Haddy, too. He knows Haddy's on the show today, which I haven't told everybody yet, but I do have Haddy waiting backstage. Good morning, nobody famous. And good morning, Jamie. And I will bring in our guest, great friend of mine, integral part of the DeOrganized space, the best co-host I've ever had, the most clutch co-host and best co-host I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and all around great guy. He supports everybody in the community, and he's joining us today. Good morning, Haddy. How are you today, sir?
Hey, good morning. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a while. I've wanted to come on, haven't had a chance to come on, but today it worked out. I want to shout out to Jamie F. Good morning. Nobody famous, hero. Thank you. So thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, man. I know you've been, man, you're just a tremendous, you provide guidance to a bunch of projects in this space. You're working with a bunch of different people, including us at DeOrganized and with us at Bitcoin Live as well. Again, shout out to Bitcoin Live. This is all brought to you in cooperation with the Bitcoin Live. Hero says he loves you, Haddy, and I agree. You're a huge. You just provide so much value to the often behind the scenes without any. So thank you for that. What's new with you, man? I know you've been a little under the weather for a while, and it took a while. It was very hard for me because I talk to you on a very regular basis, and you were just not doing well. So I had to kind of navigate things a little more independently than I was used to for a while. So how are you doing, man?
No, I'm very good. Thank you. Morning, Trip. Thanks for dropping by. No, very good. So yeah, thank you. I mean, I just try to help where I can. I think we got to what DeOrganizes what we're building here is we're actually showcasing how much momentum we have as a community in Stacks. And I think it for a long time it hasn't been broadcast, and now we're broadcasting how much activity is actually coming. People are seeing what's happening with us, and there's just so much happening. I mean, with coming out of D grants, which is where we were born out of, the momentum is immense at the moment.
That's true, man. It's just one thing. It's almost impossible to keep up on it all. It's like the news story. There's more stories and more stories. I mean, there's things I didn't even touch on in the news broadcast today because there's just so many stories. There's so many pertinent things to cover. And, we're not trying to make this a long show of me just reading news items, right? That's not really the focus of it. It is about spotlighting projects, spotlighting people in the space, personalities, and news events too. Pertinent news. We want to obviously cover everything. We got some great stuff coming up this week. I got the guys from AIBTC coming on. Talking with Chiente about bringing Alex on. We got the SIP 28, the SBTC signer SIP. We're going to be doing a special on Friday about that, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Friday for those that don't know. And that's just a couple of things that we have going on. I know you've been in you're the community manager for, amongst all the other things you're doing, you're the community manager for Zero Authority DAO. What's new with that? What's coming up with Zero Authority DAO? Well, what can you share with us?
Yeah, there's lots of things that we can't share, and I'm not I promise I'm not the intern at the moment. So yeah, there's lots of things. Like Zero dropped the bag with HODL stacks in Dave's space. We have got SIP 9s and SIP 10s. So if there are any communities that would like that to use that facility, please reach out. It's not available for you to do by yourself on the website. That'll come out in V2, which is coming soon. But the contracts are there and waiting, so we can test. And there is a test on there. HODL Stacks is testing. At the moment, the only bounty we got open is a long-lasting one, which is with Wrap Nothing, where they've got if anybody can get money to do something. So it's a fun one. I don't know if anyone will get it. I'm pretty sure somebody will get it.
So I don't know if I'm familiar with that. Wrap Nothing has what? Tell me about it.
So
what are the details of that bounty?
So if somebody can get Mahib to accept an N42 tokens in his wallet with his BNS, they can get 42 stacks. That's the bounty. And they have to show proof that he's responded to it. And so if you have a look
you
at
can't just send it to him. You have to actually get him to accept it.
Exactly. So if you read the instructions very carefully, but there's 42 stacks on the line if you can get it. It's a very fun one at the moment.
That is really cool. I'm actually going to... So the first person to get Munib to accept the N42 token on Twitter to his BNS address or other address he provides, and the bounty is 42 stacks.
Yeah. And remember, stacks is on the way up. It's only being green at the moment, and it looks like it's going to continue to be green. So the value of that bounty just keeps going up.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's actually the biggest conundrum I have right now is when I see another stacks token that I want to invest in, but I have to spend stacks to do it, and I don't want to spend my stacks because I want to hold my stacks. So that's the hardest thing right now. That's the challenge of Bitcoin itself, right? It's such hard money that you don't want to spend it. So you almost really need Bitcoin and fiat. It's always going to be both, right? It's going to have to be. Staxy says, good morning, and she's happy to see your face, Haddy. And of course,
morning, Staxy.
She's just being kind to me.
So, following on from that piece is that having to change your stacks when we get to zero authority and we have all these contracts up and running and people can offer in different coins, then you have the opportunity to earn in that coin. So hopefully there'll be some more bounties where you don't have to exchange your stacks. You can do a little bit of work and then earn it in the coin you'd like to earn in.
Well, and that's really just an amazing development too. It opens up way more uses for bounties and or for gig opportunities. All of the meme coin communities, most of them have some kind of supply of meme coins to use as a budget.
Correct.
For their stuff. And if you don't actually have to, you don't want to be selling those for stacks in order to actually use your marketing budget, because that puts downward pressure on the price. So it hurts it's counterintuitive to what you're actually trying to do. If you're trying to promote your community and reward your community, selling your reserves in order to get stacks to use to finance things is counterproductive. So that is really a huge development. I know Jack was one of the first ones that suggested that to Zero, and I actually did notice that James Hodl Stacks has a bounty, a test bounty on there for something with the Leo coin. I'm going to actually have to talk to you guys about, maybe we'll do something with the Fresh token. I have a little bit of that maybe we'll do something fun with for the Dry Sock Fresh community. Maybe we'll even do something where we can reward the moist guys. We're not haters. So, but yeah, man, I think it's I think with Zero,
I smell a meme battle coming up is what I smell.
Yeah. I think that so we have a new person running the Fresh Stacks, the Dry Sock Stacks account. And he's going by the name of Fresh McSteppins. We're not sure who he is exactly. And but he's definitely been killing it with some of the memes that he's been creating, or he or she has been creating for our community too. So I only see more and more fun competitions between Moist and Fresh moving forward.
Yeah, well, maybe an idea I'll throw out there is space raiding.
Space rating. So if someone's having an X space, you could go in the comments and just drop memes underneath, or even just share it out and then have a bunch of memes under there. That's probably a great idea, actually.
Just throwing it out there. You can do space rating as well, which is it rolls off the tongue. It's quite fun. So either you have to perform an activity when you're in there. You could potentially run a picker, like a Twitter picker on it as well.
Anything else new with Zero Authority that you can share? I know that's a lot of new stuff already. What is there a timeline for V2? We're just waiting for fast blocks, or is there kind of more that has to be built out?
V2 is really around fast blocks. So
we might be a week or 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
probably a couple of days after facts.
Yeah, so there's still some things we need to tie up in the back end, and as I said, the team are working so hard. That's why there aren't that many updates. There were legends and created these contracts for the SIP9 and the SIP10s, which are amazing. So the NFTs and coins, although it's not live yet, it'll be live in V2, but you can already start with the bounties if you'd like it. Just reach out to us, and we can help you. But yes, it's really around fast blocks. And I think the entire ecosystem is waiting for fast blocks. Wherever you're talking to everyone is waiting for fast blocks before they launch. So,
right, so we have all of this momentum in the space.
There's an avalanche.
And we have a bunch of things that can't even deliver yet. A ton, like the majority of things coming, are still waiting on fast blocks. So we have all of this momentum, and it's still super early versus where we're going to be in a couple weeks. It's going to be insane. I don't think people are quite ready. I think there's a lot of, like I said, people have almost gotten stoic about the amount of time it's taken to get, because it was supposed to be like March, right? Or April, whenever the halving was, early April, I think it was when it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then it was, August, end of August. And everyone thought that was going to be, we're going to have fast blocks at the end of August. Yeah. And honestly, I think it's only been helpful for the community in the most part, because it's forced all of these developers that are waiting for fast blocks to make sure that their things are tight, that they're ready to go. I know it's frustrating for some people that are, some of the guys that have really neat products that they want to deliver that they can't deliver until fast blocks, and they've been engaging in some kind of marketing campaigns that maybe they feel like they weren't able to hold the momentum because it got kicked out. But I think overall this is only going to be, I think the timing's better now. The timing is better to launch Nakamoto now heading into the bull cycle versus launching it into the lull that we experienced over the spring into the summer anyway.
Yeah, and I think we've had delays, and the delays aren't unwarranted. And I think everybody can agree, although it's frustrating, especially for the builders, because they want to get going and the projects want to start. There's so many projects that want to start. We also want it to work properly. And I think we also need to give credit where credit's due, that the core developers are building out and they're making sure that it's going to be a safe environment for us to launch into, because we all want the same thing. We're all looking for the same thing. So although we've had the delays, I think at the moment it's going very smoothly, and I hope it continues to go smoothly. But the security of the protocol and a stable protocol is what we all want.
Right. Well, Nakamoto testnet, when it launched, it was a little bit later than they were timing it for, but it launched, and they had a few things that they needed to work on. So the main testnet launch was slightly delayed by a couple of days, and then they launched that, and that seemed to go smoothly. I didn't read or hear anything about bugs discovered on main testnet going live. So it seems like that went very smoothly. And now we're at the point where we're just waiting for, they've announced it, and and all the other steps are now in place. So I'm excited. I do want to shout out Reese from Blockweb. He says, yes, it's surely unimaginable the amount of stuff happening in like a week. A week, good morning, Squid Fin. Always a pleasure hearing from our fans. We have such an awesome community, right? Everyone, you mentioned that we're doing this as a spotlight, an opportunity, kind of like just let everyone know what's going on, but it's also to keep. So what I see us being able to do is not just spotlighting projects, but also getting the community engaged, and also like we're doing a lot of stuff in the background trying to get conversations with the devs and with the core devs, and spotlighting what's going on with the SIP process, and then also like the security stuff that went down after the Charisma attack. And now we have we're having a more robust and a more comprehensive security conversation at the community level. And all of these things are, it's like we're creating, it's not just DeOrganized. Obviously it's the D grants process that comes out of the foundation, and the StacksLink project that Kitty's building, which we are both a part of. And that support network that helps us be able to produce and have a broad range of viewership when we're coming out live, and kind of creates like, it's almost like this self-feeding. Landy talks about value loops, and it's a value loop. Like the community provides tremendous value to us, the builders provide tremendous value to us because they're giving us all of these things to talk about, and then we provide this platform, which hopefully, I think it is providing value to the community and value to the builders and value to the core devs, because it's this, it's this self-feeding value loop. No one's extractive here in this process. We're not pulling value out. We're providing value as best we can in a number of directions. We're taking the input from the community and providing it to the builders, and we're taking the information from the builders and providing it to the community. So it's a multifaceted value loop. We get value out of being able to produce this and the things we can do out of it, and the community gets value out of it. So I'm super excited about what we're building here, man. I really am. And Reese says we are the best. I like it. Also, Reese will be joining us on Thursday morning. I want to shout him out. He's going to give us an update on what's going on in the NFT and art community on Thursday mornings, heading into the StacksLink Council meeting, which I'm not sure. I think we're rescheduling the time for that. I think we're pushing it out later. It was 9 a.m. Eastern time, but we're trying to accommodate time for we'll have more on that down the line. What StacksLink is going to be doing. Reese also is also mentioning what Michael is building, which is the FactBot, or the Stacks. It's going to be a tremendous onboarding tool for new users. Michael, I mean, attract funding, or So You Wanna attract funding, and his syndicate group and the AI tools that he's building specifically out of another D grants project. So yeah, there's just not Blockweb's a D grants project. Trip was saying hi. His Rising Tide is a D grants project. We're a D grants project. StacksLink is a D grants project. All of these tremendous. Yeah, it's insane what has actually come out of D grants in just a short period of time. Not that all of those projects couldn't have come out without D grants, but they wouldn't be as connected to each other. The community wouldn't be as matriculated throughout all of these projects if it wasn't out of a central process with all of the conversations that were happening in public on X out of D grants. So
Heroes just said it. It's the people's project, which is right. So if
right.
if Hero hadn't started, decentralized grants is what the full name of it is. If he hadn't have brought that out and had the first cohort with Good Kitty and all of them, because Good Kitty's project's coming as well, Fast Blocks again, and Tripper Monkeys, we have all these amazing projects that have come out of it. And those projects, and then we got another one as well. We've got Gary's there as well. Gary's another one. So
Gary
hey,
and
Gary.
Zero to Clarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, Gary.
So we have all these amazing projects that have come out that have benefited from the community coming together to say, these are the tools, these are the products we need. This is the grassroots level. These are the things and we can see these things have pushed Stacks forward. Stack City, we have so many things going through the bonding curve, launching. We now have more impetus on it. It's now creating more opportunity for the other players like the Alexes and the Velars and all of them, because we're building this grassroots level up and everyone can see that there's an opportunity to be had. And we are truly building what the community is looking for. And that's, as he said, Hero created this opportunity, Hero Gamer created this opportunity for us. Wasn't a lot of money, but the money was used in such a way that the return on investment back into community is immense. The payback has been so overwhelming. And if we look at what Michael will hopefully bring as well in the AI when that eventually launches, it's going to onboard the next. We're basically building all the tools that are ready and waiting for that wave, the orange wave that's coming. Once Fast Blocks hits, we're building all of these things and they're ready for the onboard these people. And that's what this program is about. This program is about helping people. How do I navigate the Stacks ecosystem? Here's the morning show. Meet the people who are in the ecosystem. Come on the calls, look at the podcasts, understand what's happening in the broadest landscape as well as in Stacks community. So thank you, Peace Love.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I could never have done this without all of that, though. So the whole thing, the D grants process and the public conversations on X, and then the good people involved, like Good Kitty, like yourself, obviously Hero Gamer. So many people have an origination story in their involvement in the Stack space because they were encouraged by Hero to get in on the conversation. And that is actually what we're trying to promote more and more of, is getting more people in on these conversations in any format. That's why we're still hosting, X Spaces. You can have a different conversation on X Spaces than you can have on something like this.
Correct.
The reason to do the video part is because it lasts longer. The content's there. You can maybe get pieces out of that content and it's more distributable after the fact. So there's a different value there. Plus we're also you reach different people. The algorithms like live broadcasts, so that it consistent at the same time every day or the same time weekly. They like that. So this gives us an opportunity. What's that?
This is far more personal because people get to see your face. They see the facial expressions. They get to see you. I'm a real person. We're having real conversations. On a space, sometimes it can be a bit distorted because it's just a PFP. So when we have these conversations, I think it creates a different atmosphere.
Yes. It's not as interactive from the community. Like, it's harder for people to jump up and engage in the conversation. Although we have had a lot of thank you all again for everyone that's given us, the engaging in the chat this morning and chatting with us live. Because that really is a huge, it makes the conversations better, and it makes it more, it makes it more connected to the community. It's not just me and Haddy talking. It's also we're engaging with you guys too. And it's a huge value add. It makes our community way more in touch and in tune with what's going on. And you know what? I also want to shout out, like, guys, there's the community chats in the DMs. There's a one that's more Welsh community oriented, and then there's another one that's Rubes has his Leo group, and there's tons of stuff going on, and tons of great conversations going on there. The StacksLink group, and now we have the Stacks Media group, and the Stacks Security group, and Heroes QA and Tester group. There's tons of varying ways for our community to keep engaging and interacting, and it's growing in this organic way that could never have happened top down. Like this community could not exist in a top down corporate centralized means. And what's the productivity factor, the magnification of efforts, what you do isn't going up to one central authority and then they're doing with it what they will. It's out there for everybody to use. It's out there for everybody to get access to. So I'm super encouraged. I'm super optimistic about the future, even though we have, the Minnesota Fed declaring that they have to either tax or ban Bitcoin in order to keep running permanent deficit spending, as if they don't, like, how tone deaf do you have to be to just broadcast out, hey, this is what our plan is. Our plan is to just inflate you to death forever through massive debt expansion with no eye towards fiscal responsibility. And that's their published stance. That's what it's just bananas. It's absolutely bananas.
You and I have had a conversation about this, about physical response, like governments and or governmental bodies taking responsibility for their financial state. I think a lot of us forget that it's not their money, it's our money put to work. And that's the scary thing, is that a lot of people talk about government like the government is spending or they are doing X with their money. It's actually our money. The taxes are our money, and we put people in place in order to facilitate services on our behalf.
Right. It's supposed to be our government. We're not supposed to be their subjects. They treat us like subjects, not the actual people. That if there's a fundamental, you can look at this from a first principles kind of way. Government doesn't exist without people, without the governed. If there is no governed, there is no government. But people can exist without government. So
you're calling for a revolution. Sorry.
The T-tax caused a revolution. Well, he's just pointing out a fact. I wouldn't say he's endorsing the action.
I'm winding about. Yeah.
But no, it's true though. It's true though. Our society and the basic principles that the United States was founded on, and a lot of the democratic world after that, was based on the idea that people deserve a say in their governance and the right to be represented in their governing apparatus. Mm-hmm. And that the government should actually be limited to only doing what is in the interest of the people and preserving their rights and freedoms. And over time, many actors actually, it's not just one. We talk about an establishment and I've mentioned, like, right now that our current electoral situation between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is one of a globalist establishment versus a more nationalist view of governance, which I don't think either are super great. I am a proponent of decentralizing. So the most political power people have is local, right? And any individual. So we should actually govern from the local up, not from the most centralized place down. That really, because that's where people have the most influence, is on local governance, because you're actually there. You can go you can actually go show up at the council meeting and talk to your counselors there, at a town council meeting or a city council meeting.
But it used to be like that, didn't it? It used to be that there was budget allocated to local communities, which would then utilize that for the services of the people. I think it's changed. I'm just saying, didn't it used to be like that?
The way the federal government was originally set up, there's a number of things that the federal government is prohibited from actually engaging in. Anything that's not specifically directed to be a duty or a power of the federal government is supposed to be left to the states. However, so like when Rockefeller created the National Education Administration, that was done specifically so that over time they could dominate state education boards through financing, where we're going to give you all of this money from the NEA, but you have to follow our centralized curriculum to get it. Well, if all of a sudden you have the option of having your budget doubled and following their rules, or only having half of the budget, but you're competing with all of these other states who now have double the budget, so they're paying more for the books, they're paying more for the materials, they're able to pay more for the teachers because they have more of a budget. It's anti-competitive, actually, by design. It forces everyone to become beholden on the federal government for education policy, regardless of whether that's in the interest of the people, which it clearly isn't, or even right. It's backwards. It's aggressive. It's not an open source system. It's a closed source system. It's like, you play by our rules or we're going to financially ruin you, state governments.
Yeah, well, I think everything's done for the incentive. There's an incentive structure that's created for a few, and it's sold to the many in a different way to what the intended purpose is, or how it actually plays out in the long term. An interesting point you touched on, which is something that I came across not too long ago, which actually changed my perception and helped me to think differently, was that rights aren't intrinsic. So the rights is upheld by the might of the American military. Therefore, you have your rights in America. And rights are merely a privilege of the society in which you're in, and you're not obligated to use those rights, which is super interesting for me to think about from that perspective, that rights are not they're a privilege. So depending on which society you're in the world, you have different rights, and those rights are upheld by force, and mostly by military force, which is a very interesting concept, that rights aren't intrinsic.
You have a right to do whatever you want, but you have an obligation to realize the repercussions of whatever you do, whatever your actions are. And that's really the basis of it. The government doesn't grant you rights. It doesn't really protect your rights per se. It can, but it doesn't have to. Because it all depends on who's in charge and how they can manipulate things. Nothing is foolproof, right? So when you create this authority, the government has... So right now, anywhere in the world, there is not one government that exists that doesn't exist and run through the initiation of violent force to compel compliance. Our governing mechanisms right now are violent by nature. If you don't comply, they will commit violence against you. Even for code violations under which there is no harmed party, like possession of cannabis is still actually illegal, although it's been removed from a Schedule 1, and it's legal in my state, which is another odd thing. It's still federally illegal, and no one's really prosecuting on it. But not so long ago, you could go to jail for just possessing some plant matter material that was forbidden by the government. You weren't doing anything harmful with it. You weren't hurting anybody. You weren't causing any problems for anybody, and they could put you in jail. And if you resisted, they were authorized to murder you. It's kind of a backwards concept. We don't have. So I see the evolution going towards a consent-based form of governance where people can opt in and opt out. And I think Bitcoin and crypto is going to provide the rails for that kind of organization, where you're always going to have a local governance because that's where you live. You're local. You have a local geographic area. Beyond that, you should be able to engage in various organizational groups based on what they're serving, any needs that they may be serving you, and the cost of engaging versus going somewhere else, like a free market of social organization. That's really what's missing right now, is the opportunity to opt out of the current paradigm. Whatever happens with the election right now, whoever wins is the president of the United States, and I have to abide by whatever rules they put in place for the 4 years, plus however long those rules stay in place afterwards. They're never incentivized to reduce their authority on anything. So every time they establish a new authority, it's just more and more power given to the government to dominate and tell you what you have to do. So there's a problem with the current paradigm, and most people are just kind of constantly the establishment constantly puts out these divisionary tactics to pit people against each other on largely superficial and ridiculous differentiations, and we don't focus on all of the things that we do agree on and build off of that, because they don't want us to pay attention to those things, because that makes government less necessary if we're cooperating and building on our own and taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, well, it builds into the fact that from a behavioral science point of view, negativity or negative sentiments attract more attention than positive sentiments. And then when we look at it creates, you get more in the news when there's division versus when we bring each other together. And I think when we bring each other together and we lift each other up, it doesn't make for good news. And people have lost the fact that when you do something for somebody else out of with no expectation of return, what you don't realize is that the smile and the happiness on that person's face creates a feeling inside of you that you can't buy. And it's a double whammy. This person's happy and you're happy, or content, whichever word you choose to use. There's a payback to that.
I don't know if it's unsellable, if good news stories don't sell and don't drive eyeballs, or if it's just by design that bad news and tragedy and catastrophe and fighting, people doing, fighting and violence and everything. All of those types of news stories actually drive consumption. Despair. If you're desperate and you're despairing, you're gonna just keep consuming every last bit of what you have left to consume, and try to get more to consume, because you feel like everything else is lost. Right? It drives consumption. All of this constant fear mongering and riling people up and pitting people against each other is actually designed to cause certain behavior. It drives consumption. It also distracts people from actually working together, because it creates, so it's massively demoralizing to think that there's no hope for a better world, which is part of what they want. They want us demoralized. They don't want us to feel comfortable to stand up and build together. They want us to be afraid of each other, to distrust each other, and to kind of be stuck in this mode of helplessness, so that we're dependent on the state, and that we are, all we know how to do is to consume, to kind of feel better about all of the bad things that we're having to witness all the time.
Yeah, well, that's what you touched on, is that so if we go back to the Rockefeller story and we talk about education, and we talk about, because I'm in education, the building blocks to being a well-rounded individual are no longer part of the education system. It's more about academia. It's more about, you need to get these things to get to this point, rather than what does a holistic person look like? What does it feel like when I achieve something? What is that feeling? How do I feel about myself? So what we have are empty vessels, for lack of a better expression, who need to be filled. And the thing that fills them most is going to be social media. And social media perpetrates a narrative. And even the news today is narrative, and it's somebody's opinion. So we're not looking at actual news. We're looking at people's opinions. And those opinions drive sentiment. And it just creates this vicious cycle of a downward spiral for most people. People like you and I break out of that, and we look at, well, let's take an objective view of the world. I don't believe that these people, because they have this view, are bad people. And I don't say, oh, well, all Americans are bad because they did X, or all Israelis are bad, or all Palestinians are bad, or all Russians are bad. I take a holistic view of the world and go, who has what to gain from the narrative? And does this narrative actually serve us as a global society? Is this divisive and pushing us apart as a wedge? Or is this actually pinpointing a very crucial point that we all need to focus in on? And perhaps the magnifying glass go, actually, do we collectively agree with what's happening? And is this how we want to portray ourselves as human beings? And that's how I always look at things. So is this actually what they say it is? Probably isn't.
You can almost guarantee it's not most of the time. Most of the time it's an opinion, it's a spun opinion to try to convince people of a narrative that is designed to veil the truth of the subject matter that they're creating a narrative for, or explaining to them what it means, whatever it is that they're reporting on, explaining to people the conclusion, so that there's no actual critical thought about what it actually means, what actually happened.
Where did we learn that? Where was that learned? This is the beauty of the crux of it. Where did we learn to just absorb the information and accept it as fact? Where did we learn that?
Well, so we were talking about the education system.
There we go. So we go back to the beginning again.
I've actually watched, so it wasn't great when my older kids were there, but it's transitioned very significantly to where it is now. They're not, it's really the majority of their day is about respecting authority and doing what they're told. And then if you do that to an extended degree, um, it's also like there is no achievement beyond completing the tasks you've been told to complete, and oftentimes the task doesn't have any educational value. They're not learning things, they're just completing tasks. So they're also being trained not only to just absorb the information as fact, but to seek approval for non-accomplishments and feel bad when they don't get it.
So again, this is it's breaking character. It's almost like torture mechanism of slowly eroding self into compliance and believing that this is the way things ought to be done. I shouldn't question, I shouldn't think further. I should stick in my lane and I should only do what they're telling me to do, because the consequences from an early age you learn are soul destroying and they get worse over time. It's my opinion. My opinion. I need to maintain that this is my opinion.
Sure. All any of us has is an opinion, right? We're all limited to our subjective experience anyway, right? So that's all any of us can project. But in my experience and what I've witnessed, my 12-year-old, almost 13, she's super smart. She's a great kid. She's awesome. She gives me a hard time, but that's partly by my design. It's my design because I'm not an authoritarian. So when she was little, when all the other kids would be leaving for school, when she was still home with us, and I had that, I was a realtor at the time. I worked majority from home, so I was here for it a lot. And she picked up the habit when the kids would be leaving for school to say to them, "Goodbye, I love you, question everything." That was what she would say to all the big kids when they would leave for school, because she would hear me say that. And when I had to send her to school, I really, really wanted to homeschool her. I didn't want her to send her there because she was so awesome and so perfect and so happy. And, she also experienced COVID in second grade. So there was a huge, that was a factor too. But, she also had a horrible teacher in second grade that was just so mean and horrible. And I come to find out that some of my older kids had the same teacher, and she was horrible and mean to them too. And why would a second grade teacher ever be anything? This is 7-year-olds. Why would a teacher of 7-year-olds ever be anything but kind and nice and happy and bright and encouraging? Except for the design is to break the spirit, to break the soul. And it's working. It's working. My daughter hates school. She's very smart. She does well. She's getting good grades, but they're not allowed to talk. The kids aren't allowed to talk. At one point, they weren't allowed to bring water bottles into the class because it was distracting. It's like they had this policy where they could drink water, and now we can't, and it's arbitrary. It's like it's distracting. How is it distracting that a kid's going to take a sip of water?
The crazy thing, because I've gone through the same thing with my children, and my youngest is the same age as yours, so he's been through similar things, and it's not maybe as bad, but he's had certainly issues with people, and the only thing I can put it down to is, sadly, in society we have people who are broken for whatever reason. And when those when we have those people in positions of authority, and especially teaching young minds, that has a very negative effect on and can pass on this negative effect. And it's sad, but it happens that you have people who aren't at the best stage in their lives, and they have these 7-year-old, bright, intelligent, all children. Like, I personally believe that everyone has a superpower, and that's what I look for. So everyone has a superpower. And if you don't know what your superpower is, it's just because you haven't found it. And often somebody else can point out your superpower to you. You don't know. They will tell you what it is. And that's what I look for in everyone. So I always go, you said you wanted to do the podcast. I was like, awesome. You're a good speaker. I will be your wingman. I will help you to make sure that it's successful. I'll do whatever we need to do. Because for me, I love it when people succeed. I love it when people win. And that's what I find joy in. Yeah. And that's also why I teach children, because I find joy in finding superpowers. I don't think the curriculum is necessarily the be and end all of everything. It's important, but the child being well-rounded, understanding what their superpowers are. I'm not great at this, but I'm excellent at this, and I'm okay at that. This is what we're supposed to be nurturing in these children. I was just lucky enough that I had the way I grew up was very different, because I suffer from dyslexia, and I view it as a complete and utter superpower. But what it does is it makes you think about the world differently. And I had to learn how to learn differently than everyone else. There was no cookie cutter. And now that gives me an opportunity. When I look at anyone, I go, okay, there is no cookie cutter. Let's find out what your superpower is. Let's figure out where you're good at it. And let's push. Because once you have that, you have all this energy. You must have this from the podcast. You have this amazing momentum, and it just keeps building because you're enjoying what you're doing, and it's getting better and better. And that's the exact same for children. And it's sad when you have somebody who breaks that.
Right. It's not just one teacher though. It's the design of the system is to break individual spirit, to force everyone to agree to this centralized authority, whether it's actually giving you facts or truth or value or not. Their word is law. Their word is truth. Whatever, if they say it's true, it's true, which is very dangerous and destructive, clearly. And I want to actually, Gary's agreeing with us. Each of us is unique for a reason. It has a superpower. He agrees, and he points out to ADD, which I'm not. That I do feel like I might actually have some dyslexic tendencies myself. It takes me a long time to read things. I don't know. I've never actually been diagnosed with dyslexia. I've also never been diagnosed with ADD, but I would probably also qualify for that kind of a diagnosis as well. I have a hard time staying focused. When new ideas come into my head, it's hard for me to stay on point and follow with where I'm going with things, which tends to actually, I think, help in the realm of interviewing, because I ask them questions, and then when their response almost always elicits more questions for me. As long as I don't talk over what it is that they're trying to get out with the point of answering the prior question, it's okay. But yeah, I think ADD seems to be a throwback to a hunter-gatherer time when we had to be more distractible, because distractions coming from nature were usually very actionable situations. Like either I got to find food or I got to avoid being food. That's part of, I think, the attention deficit, what they classify as attention deficit disorder now is more of just the hunter-gatherer natural mindset.
Could it not just be the fact that we're on an exponential curve, and evolutionary, we're not designed for the volume of information and the volume of things that are occurring. Therefore, the ADHD is because we need to keep on top of everything. Therefore, we're on high alert, and our brains are just moving to a point of going, this, that, this. What is it? Danger, not danger. So you're literally just on threat assessment constantly. Yes, no, green, red, green, red. You just literally, you get to that point where you're trying to assess everything, and there's so much bombarding you at the same time. I'm just right. I thought.
Right. Well, it also comes, that diagnosis also comes out of the education system, where we're putting kids in a classroom and forcing them to sit for 6 hours a day, which was also designed, which was designed to make factory workers. That paradigm was, again, there was an agenda there beyond educating children. It was to create obedient workers that do what they're told, and the facts are coming from the centralized authority, and you're seeking approval by doing what they tell you to do. That's what that paradigm is.
Even
it's
the
not
bells.
Natural. What's that?
Even the bells, like the bell going for the lesson to end, is also the same as from a factory. So that was the same trigger mechanism, which is interesting.
Right. And Pavlov's dogs, same thing. You can train behavior to respond to in response to stimuli. And over time, it really doesn't even matter what the stimuli is. It matters just how well you've trained the behavior. But that's also stuff that it's good to have an educated society, and it's good for an individual to have access to education. We all should be exposed to as many mathematical concepts as we can, logic and reason, proper communicative skills, the ability to read and write and understand and put that all back is actually tremendously valuable. We wouldn't have been able to build this. We wouldn't be catching rockets out of the sky without massive educational opportunities. However, I do think that it's really one thing COVID taught us was that the kids don't need to go to a centralized building 5 days a week to get good education. And I know that there's a lot of, like the labor unions, the teachers union has a lot of pushback on homeschooling because, well, by golly, if kids can actually learn from home, then we don't need as many teachers, and that's going to hurt their membership rolls. So, but I don't see how it's bad for the good teachers to be doing homeschooling versus having to go into a classroom as often as they do. I think it's inefficient. I think we could actually more efficiently teach kids much better if there was a lot more independent study and independent variable access to timing of when you can access lessons and stuff like that. You could do it throughout the day. So my 16-year-old will on occasion, we don't let him do it a lot, but he might wake up on a Friday and be like, I'm really tired. I'm just, they had the homecoming a couple weeks ago. So on a Friday morning, he was like, I don't want to go to the pep rally. I don't want to have to do it. I still have classes, but, can I just stay home? And he was able to message his teachers, get the assignments for the day. And he wrapped up the assignments for the day in about 2 hours for a 6-hour school day. So it's not efficient, and it's a huge waste of resources and time and energy.
Well, it's the same as colleges where you have you have subjects or units you have to take. They're compulsory, although they add no value to your actual degree. So you have to take these things that aren't, or electives that you have to take in order to get the credits to be able to, but it has nothing to do with what you're going to do after you've completed your degree.
Right.
I mean, COVID taught
and 12 years of 12 years of schooling before you got there. You had 12 years of education before you got there, but they need to make sure you're well-rounded with all of these other classes where, it might actually take you an extra year or two to get your degree versus if we only focused on what you're trying to learn for your degree, and then we can't charge you 2 more years of tuition for the same knowledge. You know, it's a racket. It's a racket.
Well, but if we take the money out of it, you have monoliths of machinery or institutions which are very difficult to. They're the Titanics. They're very difficult to steer. Like, you can't turn on a coin anymore. It takes a long time to change direction. You also have a long time before people accept changes within the industry. So COVID taught us something, and I've been saying it for years, and AI is going to increase this. Morning, Binta. Thank
Morning,
you.
Binta.
Yeah, we have students can finish. Well, this is the way I see it, is that students who are unable to do the work by themselves will go to a school building. Teachers will become more irrelevant over time and become more like childminders. So difficult children will go to school because they can't learn at home. The children who can learn at home will learn at home, and they will have an AI will assist that. Teachers are unwilling to accept it at the moment. The unions will fight against it, but it's proven time and time again that the artificial intelligence is getting better and it can do most of the work. And it also shows that most of the curriculum is irrelevant. So when we talk about the future, a lot of the curriculum is irrelevant. It's irrelevant now. So if we look at our children, we go, okay, you're learning this. Okay, I comprehend. I understand. Learning how to learn is the most important thing. Thereafter, everything else is easier. We need our 3 R's, as they put it. You need your arithmetic, your reading, and your writing. You need to know how to do those. And then you can learn by yourself. But then are all these things important that they're learning? And I look at it as well. The curriculum is bloated because they have to fill the time up. Where I would say, even with the curriculum we have today, the kids could probably finish it in 3 months. Then we could have another 6 months of project management, learning agile, learning all these things that are going to be so important to them, playing with artificial intelligence. How do I build my assistant? How do I do like the things Michael's doing, playing with these things? Because things are moving so much quicker, and they can also go, which is one problem I've always had it, is my children always explored, they were like interested in mathematics. So we'd go really far with mathematics or with geography or with whatever we were learning. And they were like, oh, I really love this. We go bang, 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 learn. And the teachers would get upset because we've gone ahead. I'm going, how can you be upset that I'm going ahead with the child? The teachers got upset and told the child not to go ahead, like my kids not to go ahead.
Well, it's because there's 2 factors, right? It's one is about control, right? One is about control, and the other one is about job security and they need to make sure that they're not, if they go ahead. So if they finish the class too quickly, then what are they going to do for the rest of the year, right? Do they really need that many teachers? Like, that's part of it. It's job security,
Yeah, they do say. Yes, Gary. Always say. I think the reason for it is it creates more work for the teacher, because the teacher will then have to think, how do I now progress with this child? How do I give them things that are challenging to help them? And I think it's now become teach to the curriculum rather than teach to what is actually required for children. I think there's a difference now. So, but 2 things I'd like to say, Peace. 2 things we've come up with today. Right in the beginning, we need a DeOrganized written format update because there's too much news at the moment to cover in the session. And the second thing is, when are we going to have a DeOrganized homeschooling network?
Oh, wow. That's brilliant.
I think with blockchain and badges and accreditation, we may be able to facilitate homeschooling. We have the network now. Can we get the educators?
We can build the educators. We can build the educators.
So this is the call to action.
My sister's actually she's a corporate trainer for a large biomed company in my state, and she's currently working on. She's got a master's. She did childhood education. She's got a master's in adult learning, and she's working on a PhD in some other kind of learning thing. So I want to talk to her about that idea, about building out what that would look like. And maybe you guys should talk together. Obviously you have an educational, but we should do that. We should look into that. Obviously there's a lot of things going on, but well, I think if we could help.
Yeah. First stage is extracurricular activity. So first stage would be, what are the things that we could offer homeschool children as extracurricular activities, as well as children in school, to bring them into, let's say, the new financial paradigm of blockchain, Bitcoin. How can we help onboard those types of children who are interested? And then from there, you would start building your actual curriculum into homeschooling. And then you could attract more homeschooling communities. Which are the biology teachers in homeschooling? Would they like to start recording their content? Can we help you record it? Can we broadcast it for you? Because we've obviously already got the network, but we can talk about this offline a bit more.
Yeah. I've had you on for an hour. Yeah. Always great chatting with you, Haddy. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to get you on the morning show. It's been great. You guys definitely need to check out Zero Authority DAO. If you're not on there, get Authority DAO and set up your profile. You're going to want it. It's going to be a very important piece of the puzzle for Web3 in Stacks eposystem and probably beyond. So definitely get out to Zero Authority. I've had you on for an hour and 15 minutes, and it was probably a little longer than I was. I'm chatty. You guys know how it goes. Chatty and Haddy. That's what we're.
I've got time. I think Zero Authority is amazing. I'd like to say that the Miracle that we had on earlier, I'm going to have a meeting with them, and hopefully I can bring some more love back to the community around their new API, and hopefully get some communities onboarded there, because they have got an amazing tool which allows you to host all the benefits for your community there. So there's one place they come and they can find all the benefits. So if we look at like Rue and everyone else, there's stuff all over the place where we could have access to opportunities or things that are coming. And it's also a nice place that you won't be scammed, because you know that it's coming from the right place. It's listed there. You know you're going to receive these coins in your wallet, and you know that it's coming from because you hold an NFT or you hold a meme coin. And then the other thing I wanted to shout out was also Art Unchained, which is another one I work for. They're going to be doing an event calendar. So I'll share that as well. So every day there'll be a different community, and you can access whatever it is for that day. There's a prize to be won. So there's some big communities that are going to be on there. And if anybody wants to be on there from the Stacks community, reach out, because there are days still available for it.
Oh, they're doing an event calendar for the Art Unchained community, but they want to put out, they're covering what events are going on for the crypto space, not on Art Unchained.
No, they have like in German speaking countries, they have what's called an events calendar, and the child opens up a door every day. So they'll have the same, where each day there'll be one prize that everyone can participate for. So they've got 3D assets in the metaverse. There's a few other ones from big organizations. I can't release too much information at the moment. So I can just be the intern and say that there are amazing prizes. And if anybody wants to be involved in it from the Stacks community or from Ordinals, they're more than welcome to be a part of the event calendar. So for 24 days leading up to, in Europe, Christmas is on the 24th.
Oh, an Advent.
There will be an Advent calendar. Yeah, events calendar.
Okay. Yes, I'm familiar. Usually it's got like a little candy.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. My wife, we get a couple of those for the kids. My nieces every year. So they have an online advent calendar where you can open up and you go and check, and you get a gift every day for Advent.
one person will win each day. So there'll be each day there's an opportunity to participate, and you can win the prize of the day. So whatever that is. So there may be there might be meme coins, there might be an actual physical prize. I know there are tickets to an event. So there's a few. I can tell you offline, but I can't tell anyone on here.
No, and you can tell me, and I won't tell everybody.
There's some saucy prizes. So, but there's also spaces for communities, I think, if they want to promote. So, if they want to put
there's opportunity for anyone, if you're paying attention. Stacks communities, NFT communities, meme token communities, and or ordinals, some of our ordinals communities. Looking at you guys, Node Rocks, and the on-chain monkeys. A bunch of guys out there that can take advantage of that and reach communities that they're not maybe getting at right now too. So that sounds like we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I want to talk a bit more about it, because I think that there's with the wave that's coming and the reach that Art Unchained has got across different platforms and different chains, we can reach people who haven't yet been orange pilled.
Yeah, definitely. And they were awesome. Unchained Ninja and Rock Runner, Yana. They were great Yana, too. Yeah. Danilo from The Miracle. Those were both great guests. Really great people. I'm super excited for Danilo. Also, what's going on over there. And just to kind of also let people know, if you have we're working on getting Stacks on there with the API he's about to launch, right? And then so if you are a community, ordinals are on there, but not every ordinal is signed up yet. So if you have an ordinals community and you're not on The Miracle, and or if you are a Stacks community and you're looking to, if you're constantly rewarding your holders and users and they get benefits, The Miracle is a centralized location where your users can go, anyone can go, put in their wallet address. They don't even have to connect, right? They just put their address in, and it'll tell them and it'll tell them what benefits they get from anything they're holding in their wallet. So you can connect your Ethereum wallet, you can connect your Solana wallet, Bitcoin wallets, Unisat for ordinals and or Leather or Xverse if you're holding ordinals, and or soon to be some Stacks communities as well. So really cool. I think it's a great project. Excited to see that.
It's a two-way street on there. It's amazing. It's a two-way street in the fact that if you would like to reach communities, they also have the opportunity for you to reach communities. So there's a two-way opportunity. There's an opportunity for communities to help create a central place to understand where all the benefits of me being a part of this community are. So community membership benefits, but there are also organizations that are offering benefits there. So you could offer benefits. So, the Alexes, the Velars of the world can offer opportunities on there as well. So you could offer opportunities they've got the apes on there. They've got Pudgy Penguins. They've got all the ETH communities that haven't yet. And a lot of those people are in both camps. They're also on Bitcoin and on ETH. And a lot of the Solana guys are also in Bitcoin and also here.
And or coming.
Well, the point is that The Miracle will create an opportunity for Stacks to be able to access more communities. I think over time, we won't have this. We'll still always have maxis, but we will have people who float across and don't know about other chains and the opportunities.
So just give me an idea of, let's say I'm Velar or Bitflow or Alex or, Zest. I don't want to name everybody, but because we have I'm friends with all of them, Zest and Stacking Down and all that. Now I feel like I'm sure I missed somebody, but I'm one of those entities and I want to leverage The Miracle. I can offer something like almost like a quest campaign or something. Like what does that look like?
It's in the early stages. So I have got a meeting this week. So essentially what it would look like is you would have the opportunity to be able to offer services and or a sweetener for communities. So for instance, let's say Velar. So Velar would give a sweetener saying you could get like 10 Velar if you connect and you do X transactions on our platform. And then the communities inside, so it doesn't just automatically go to everyone, inside those communities can say, yes, I would like to give this opportunity to my community. So there is a protection mechanism in the fact that not every community gets spammed, that communities can decide what they would like to present to their communities.
I like
which
it.
is which is amazing, because then it means, like, let's say for instance, like DeOrganized Media, we had our own community, say supporters badges that they've purchased to support the channel. We could then have a community on there, and then when we find opportunities for our community, our supporters network of our network, they could then, it would come up in there, they could see it, we could obviously advertise it, and they would have access to those opportunities. So for instance, like if Velar sponsored us or Hermetica sponsored us and they gave X amount to our community, we could use the Miracle to advertise that. And then it's a safe link to follow the process there. So it's a safe communication mechanism rather than Twitter getting hacked and somebody putting it in there. So essentially that's the beauty of what the Miracle is created.
Man, that's great.
Yeah. So coming soon, everyone.
Awesome, man.
Membership
awesome.
passes.
So Advent calendar
membership supporter passes coming
on Oregon Chain.
Sorry, Peace. Did I cut you off? Sorry.
To do something like that. No, am I frozen?
I
might be frozen.
Rugging about. I don't know if it's me or you. You're all good on my side.
I was getting a little bit. This is probably the unit not telling me it's time to wrap up before I can't wrap up. That happened to me with Nick the other day. Haddy, always a pleasure, my man. Always a pleasure, my man. Yeah, we're heading on an hour and a half, so people probably enough of hearing me talk for the morning, sir. But thank you, man. I'm super happy that you're back in action, and to everybody else, I think I'm frozen again. I might be frozen again. I'm going to end the show. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you guys at 4:00 with AIBTC. Take it easy.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Catch you later. Thank you, everyone.